As a Chinese state-owned corporation, naturally, we have a responsibility and obligation to make our contribution in the countries which are covered by the One Belt, One Road policy. As the Chinese earliest company who doing the international engineering contracting business and investment abroad, with more than 30 years of experience in the engineering industry, CMC has developed a capacity to provide a one-stop, customized, complete plan solution spanning preliminary planning, EPC, financing, and operation and maintenance and investment, which it has a completed business presence in 47 countries in the world, forming a project contracting system with electricity power, energy as a core business, but also covering transportation, telecommunication, waterworks, building materials like cement as well. In the early 90s of 20th century, CMC has been conducting our international engineering business in Turkey, and also taking advantage of Turkey's geographic closeness to the southeastern Europe region to conduct our business in this region. Since then, CMC has conducted a series of the projects, both in the engineering contracting business and also investment, such like smart meter projects, exporting and engineering projects, cargo and container ship exporting to Italy, lignite coal-fired power plant, 600 megawatts in Serbia, and also various types of the power plant which accumulated in 4,000 megawatts in Turkey. In 2006, CMC opened our Serbia branch in Serbia country to start our market development and localization. And in 2016, we also signed a strategic cooperation agreement with today's host, PBC, in aiming to develop the electricity market in Greece and also in Balkan regions. CMC, with great interest, would like to be involved in the new title of infrastructure and electricity development in the southeastern region, and through providing the Chinese rich experience in project engineering and contracting, also take advantage of CMC's impressive project financing, together with the partner in the same ambition and same target. We would like to make our contribution to the local economic development for this region, and also make the contribution to the farewell of the people in this region. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One very important message I have managed to identify is that the company has already identified Greece and our neighboring country, Turkey, as a target to materialize investments in the energy sector. So we are most welcome, you're most welcome to develop further these business plans. And we are aware of the discussions we have to enter into partnerships with the local stakeholders in the energy sector. Having said that, I would like now, because we have a time limitation and we need to keep a pace, to invite Mrs. Borozan. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I would like to thank the organizer for the invitation, and noticing that I'm the only representative from Western Balkan countries at this conference, I would like to remind the audience, first of all, on signing of the first memorandum of understanding in Athens when so-called Athens process to establish energy community started back in 2002. The countries of Western Balkans assigning to that memorandum and later on to the Energy Community Treaty, were promised a lot of foreign investments coming into the energy sector on the condition to first restructure the sector. 15 years later, even though many reforms were done, we introduced first, second, now third package of energy of Europe, but unfortunately important investments are still missing in the region. In 2013, Energy Community Secretariat, in its effort to boost these investments, prepared a strategy for the region and also noticed several projects in other aspects as well of electricity and natural gas, but also several projects of energy community interest in electricity generation. Here are listed those projects. I made a research preparing this presentation, and I found that actually several projects which are in the list were immediately opposed by Brussels environmentalists as very much environmentally and even socially harmful. Those are projects, mainly hydropower plant projects, marked in yellow in the list. And I found only few projects that were realized from this list. Those are projects put in bold. Interestingly, all of these projects which were started, all to be built, investors are incumbent state companies mainly, and in electricity and also in natural gas in Serbia. There is no project from my country in this list. I will speak about my country later. What I found is that actually only one project of thermal power plant in Bosnia and Herzegovina succeeded to attract foreign investments and was successfully kicked off last year into August 2016. That is more or less results of all of these efforts during the years. Real financial support coming from EU to the region started with the Vienna summit in 2015 within the Western Balkan 6 connectivity initiative, and two interconnection projects in the regions are receiving funding from EU, but all of them are in transition. Actually, one interconnection between Albania and Fyrom, and another interconnection between Montenegro and Serbia. Actually, this interconnection is considered as an extension of this undersea cable, which is built from Italy to Montenegro. Shortly about the situation in my own country. This is the electricity balance. Still about 60% of electricity in the country is produced by incumbent state-owned company, LM, which is also for the time being regulated. We hope that after 1st of January 2018, with the new law, the situation will change. And I would also like to bring your attention to the portion of about 30% of electricity consumption which comes from import. And that is mainly from Bosnia and Herzegovina, Republika Srpska, which is the only net importer, exporter of electricity in the region. Other countries are importers or either balanced. These are locations of electricity plants in my country. Those marked with light blue are new potential projects, and there are many, which is good news. The bad news is that this slide is about 10 years old, and those projects are still in light blue, unfortunately. There is some investment in renewables in the country. After introducing feed-in tariffs as support mechanism, there is increasing investment in renewables. Some of the capacities of renewables are doubled during the recent last 3 years, or even tripled. With the new energy law, which is supposed to be brought in January 2018, feed-in tariffs as support mechanism is planned to be changed with feed-in premium support scheme, and to bring even more investments in this sector. This is also a very old slide with potential investment projects. The previous governments tried to tender several times all of these projects, but tenders were not successful. The project, hydropower plant project, marked in yellow here, started to be prepared by the incumbent company, LM, but was last year it was stopped because of reaction of findings of environmental study. The location is actually in a national park, and so there were many concerns about the impact to the environment. So the future of this project is not known at the moment. And finally, this is my final slide. Let me inform that there are hopes, actually. My country has a new government since June this year, and the focus of the new government is on energy sector, mainly gas and electricity. As I told you, a new energy law is in final stage of preparation, and the new government has some more investment plans, which are actually, in my understanding, very realistic. Some of you maybe remember the thermal power plant Negotino, which is oil-fired thermal power plant and not in operation for many, many years. The government plans to rebuild, to give a tender, to find investor, once again to try to find investor to rebuild this thermal power plant. Then there is a project also on 20 megawatts investment projects in photovoltaics. The idea is to prepare to give the government land and to issue all permissions, even to arrange for plants connection to the grid, and then to tender to potential investors under the feed-in premium scheme. Also some investments in wind generators, and for sure in energy efficiency. Thank you for your attention.
Mrs. Burleson, thank you very much. First of all, that you have managed the time so well as a professor, and you just finalized your speech exactly within the limits. Of course, and you have to put us also on discipline if we slip over. It was very important to hear, other than, of course, what is happening in your country and the new investment projects, but also it was very, I believe, informative to see how is your perception about the region overall, the region which we are moving more and more away from the definition of Balkans, and I witnessed that we more refer it to Southeast Europe because also of the evolutions happening in the greater area. And the fact that you have pointed out the prospective plans which add to the discussion about a local region market for interconnectivity. And this is something which also the SESMEC Treaty is promoting. So thank you so much. So Mr. Iliev, it is your round. Thank you.
Hello to everybody. Initially, I would like to thank to the organizers for their kind invitation. I would like to thank to my friends from Jene, with which I'm working for so many years successfully, I hope. And I would like to turn your attention to one market which was new to us and which will be new to you in the following years, and with the problems and opportunity in this market, and this is the balancing market. First, just a short presentation. What is the electricity market now in our country? As you can see, we have nuclear station, lignite station, coal, imported, gas, hydro, wind, a lot of photovoltaic. So we are an ideal field for study, for exploration of all the problems in the market, especially in the balancing market. Our country is much more interesting, for example, than Norwegia, which is 100% hydro. What problems can you have? Here are the problems. Also, I would like to show just a short slide that even we are talking about the free market, the energy market is not 100% free in our country, and it is the same in the most countries, maybe in the region, of course, and not even in the region. So you can see that by traders we have about 39–45% energy supply, which is a free market. Then we have end suppliers, regulated market. Then we have suppliers of last resort, which for me is not clear whether it is regulated or free market. Let me tell that this is a free market. Of course, we have network losses and pumps. So you can see that we have also very complicated situation also here. So the balancing market have its organization, and this is the balancing groups. So you see we have, 53 standard balancing group. We have 14 special balancing groups, 13 combined groups, and in this case we are also unique. Nowhere in the world you can find standard groups, special groups, maybe somewhere, but combined groups we will find nowhere. This is special groups, especially for the renewables, for the wind and for the solar. Because in our country, not me, but the National Electric Company, which is analog to the PPC, is obliged to buy under a regulated price their whole production. Whatever they produce, it should be. And in this case, how can you balance such a producer? So this is decision. Combined group. It is a complicated mechanism. in which from one side you buy all the energy, from the other side you balance this renewable energy source in a very interesting way, just the opposite to the standard mechanism. From the other side of the balancing market, you have the balancing energy providers. You have pumps and hydro stations of a national electric company. You have condensing units. You have hydro, private cascades, combined heat and energy producers, and even you have consumers in the balancing market. So you have two hands in the balancing market. This is a technical picture, which is not mine. I am not specialist in the technical, but just want to show that we have primary regulation, secondary, tertiary, and cold reserve. So the best regulation is from the top to the bottom. And of course, the much you are going to the bottom, more problems you have, the price is higher, the risks are higher, the challenges are higher. And I just want to show this to you. So, this is a picture how the reserves were activated in the years. In 2015, 2016, 2017. So, you can see, mostly we have secondary regulation, perfect, very nice. Tertiary is difficult, practically very small, because this is a matter of activity of the producers. They must be active. In our country, they are not active in this field. Why? I don't know, but maybe because of the structure. And then we have cold reserve. And you see January 2070. Some speakers already talked about this month, that there are problems and so on. But the final reflection of these problems was especially, you see how much cold reserve you have. It is absolutely strange picture. Before continuing, I just want to show you another slide. You have here the imbalances. This is from one side. We have the imbalances. From the other side, we have the regulation. So I will go back. So you see the imbalances are about the level of 880, whatever it is. And the regulation is about 50. So with 50 units, you can regulate the imbalances of 80. Why? Because you have netting, you have balancing groups, you have... But then comes the point of the truth, January. So what is January? 250. Let us go. 160 imbalances, and you make regulation 250. This means that you have the problem. And this is because you have this big cold reserve. And you have counter-regulation. And you have, of course, big imbalancing prices. You see, this is January. 334. And this is medium, this is average monthly price. In some hours, we have 15,000 euro per megawatt hour. 15,000 euro per megawatt hour. So, what is this? This is a challenge on the left, opportunity on the right. I tried some mathematics. You can look. Regulation versus imbalances. You see? The greater the imbalances, the regulation, it is not a straight line, especially in our country. It is curved, exponential. It is the same with the price. The same with the price. Here, because I have only one point, I cannot make a very visible curve, but believe me, this is also an exponential. So you have double problems. 2 multiplied. So what should the market participant do? When I'm talking market participants, it is on the both sides, because also the producers, they also pay on the balancing market where they cannot fulfill their duty. So I am not splitting them to producers or consumers. It is valid for both groups. First, improve your forecast and take into account the deficit and surplus price ratio. And in Bulgaria, it is something 2-to-1. So you plan surplus twice higher than deficit. Otherwise, you will lose money. It is obvious to me as a deputy financial director, but it should be obvious to anybody who deals with finances. Join a group. Always join a group. Even a consumer or your producer, join a group. You will have lower deficit price, about 10% at least, and you will have netting of imbalances. Of course, there is a caution. In urgent cases, all members will be short, and this will not work. This is January. January, what kind of netting? Everybody is short. Secure your deliveries. This is, of course, in January, this shortage was because some market participants, they relied on the spot market, but there was no energy on the spot market. So, long-term contracts, it is a good idea to have. And financially, hedging and futures, we don't have, but we should. We should. The other hand, participate, at least in the tertiary, because there is a big field in the tertiary market. You can gain profit. You can sell contracts. You can sell your contract at the highest price if you're a consumer. If you're a producer, of course, you can produce. Become a demand-side responsible party. But this is more complicated. This is the future. Because we need about 5 megawatts. So you must join in a group if you're a consumer. A group. Of course, invest. More efficient equipment, demand-side management activities, invest in control equipment, move your consumption to base energy zones. Lower price, of course. Not always possible, but if you can, do it. Lower your peak, flatten your load curve. And seasoning. You saw that in the months we have seasons which are much more favorable than others. That's all. I think that I'm just clear, but I tell you, January we see such huge amounts of money, 10 times different from the other months. So somebody gained 10 times more profit, but others lost 10 times more expenses. Thank you very much.
Mr. Iliev, thank you very much for sharing with us some of the basic parameters of the operation of a market, which need to be considered by the players. And of course, if we had more time, we could elaborate more about other factors which relate to the distortion of the markets and other parameters which affect finally the business decision of those who participate in the market. So thank you so much as well. Mr. Maragos, please. Mr. Maragos will, as he mentioned earlier to me, he will present us some investment opportunities in Cyprus.
The magic of speaking last is that after you, everybody leaves for the lunch. So I take this opportunity, I will speak for 45 minutes. I'm kidding. So, I'm the chairman of the board of Electricity Authority of Cyprus, and I want to thank the organizers for the opportunity given to us to present EAC's position. Energy is fundamental for the competitiveness of Cyprus' economy and the welfare of its people. Furthermore, Cyprus' dependence on imported fuel, the challenges of climate change, but more importantly, the characteristic of Cyprus' small and isolated electricity system make it more challenging to develop the future electricity system of Cyprus. A system that has to be designed along the guidelines of sustainability as defined by the European directive, that is competitiveness, environment, and security of supply. A few words about Cyprus electricity system. Conventional generation in Cyprus is currently carried out by the 3 power stations owned by Electricity Authority on the south coast of the island. There is no interconnection with other countries, making the system more burdensome and more expensive than on the mainland of Europe to ensure secure and balanced supply. Cyprus' target for renewables contribution in end-user consumption is 13%, which according to the Renewables National Action Plan translates in 16% of the total electricity consumption, which breaks down to individual targets for the various renewable technologies as shown in the list. Renewables penetration has reached 8.5% in 2016, the majority of which comes from wind and photovoltaics. Additional capacity required. As recently announced by the Ministry for 2020, from which renewable technologies are wind parks, 17 megawatts, photovoltaics, 120 megawatts, biomass, 5 megawatts, concentrated solar power, 50 megawatts, wave energy, 20 megawatts, which poses great investment opportunities. Another significant investment opportunity is in electrical storage. Developments in policy and grid code now take into account the need for storage in order to enable higher integration of renewables in the grid. Particularly, studies carried out under the auspices of the Ministry of Energy with its technical assistance revealed that storage is mandatory and is becoming cost-effective. Also, the stakeholders in Cyprus are discussing the incorporation of storage in the future electricity market rules. The operator has suggested that the new grid code provides for storage requirement in case of renewables more than 8 megawatts. As an incentive to self-generators, installed capacity greater than 80% of maximum demand is allowed if storage is installed. Security of supply studies between Electricity Authority, Ministry of Energy, and the regulator assume 100% capacity credit for storage, meaning that storage is full dispatchable and all storage capacity can be retrieved without lowering the level of security of supply. The main challenges of the Cyprus electricity sector can be grouped into 2 categories. The first category concerns the successful electricity market operation. This is primarily related to the operation of the net pool market in 2019, with a transitional market open as of this September. Secondly, is related to the completion of EAC's functional and financial unbundling, currently being audited by the regulating authority. Finally, again, as of this September, EAC has implemented new retail tariffs for all consumers categories based on stored use, seasonal time of day use, which ensure the avoidance of distortions and cross-subsidies on various consumers. The second category of challenges relates to the design of our energy system. This design should encourage the integration of renewables technologies in the electricity system alongside the installation of new conventional generation units, which will ensure the security of supply of the small and the isolated electricity system of Cyprus. The operation of the above system entails the installation of storage system, especially batteries, and the availability and use of natural gas in electricity generation. Of course, for all these new installations to operate in a coordinated and efficient way, leading to the supply of reliable electricity to end consumers, there will be a need for the introduction of smart grids in the Cyprus energy system. The economic recovery of Cyprus is accompanied by an increase of the actual and forecasted electricity consumption. Currently, EAC is in the process of preparing the generation development plan for the period 2017-2036. Preliminary results of the study shows that in order to cover the increase of electricity consumption in the early years of the study, there will be a need for investment decision on the installation of new combined cycle gas turbine units alongside with renewable installation, especially photovoltaics. The study has also highlighted the importance of the installation of battery system alongside the Cyprus grid in order to provide services such as energy shifting, contribution to frequency response, primary and secondary reserve, and contribution to the capacity reserve margin. The specific constraints of generation in island system, continuous balancing of intake and outtake, require flexible storage for large amount of electricity, which is still in the development stage. EAC is participating in quite a few EU research programs in storage, flexibility and smart grids to enable extended penetration of renewables while keeping the required security of supply. For the conventional generation to be able to perform its future role of supporting the penetration of renewables and to apply with new stricter environmental limits, the government has taken the political decision to make natural gas available in electricity generation before 2020. Therefore, the Natural Gas Company of Cyprus will issue in the first half of 2018 two tenders, one for the supply of natural gas and one for the development of the natural gas infrastructure for storage and regasification. DEFA has also been instructed to proceed with the necessary study for the internal natural gas pipeline network, which will connect the landing point of gas at Vasilikos power station to the other generator units. Let's watch through a small video clip, why sustainability demands smart grids.
Prosperity, not just for us, but for the whole world, I think is inextricably linked to energy. Without sufficient energy, everybody's standard of living starts to decline. Abundant and sustainable energy is probably the solution to a lot of our problems. With energy, all the other problems can be solved. Without it, everything begins to fall apart.
Without sustainable energy, everything begins to fall apart. The need of sustainable energy renders smart grid a necessity, not a choice. The reason is simply because the cost of failure is huge, the very survival of the human race. All EU targets, 20-20-20 or 40-27-27 or whatever, are towards sustainability. Smart electric energy can be defined as improved exchange of electric energy. Exchange, because as well as known, the integration of renewables in distribution grids result in bidirectional energy flows, which will like to be exchanged in the electric grid as wisely as bits of information are exchanged in the internet. All advanced technologies require much more than continuous power supply. They require the modernization of the electric grid with automation, self-healing technologies, remote monitoring and control, support of microgrids, informing and training consumers of their energy needs, cost and alternative options, rendering them autonomous to decide the quantity and time of their energy usage. Secure and reliable integration of renewables. Without smart grids, only limited integration is technically possible. This consists of reliable, more sustainable, robust energy infrastructure. Thus, the smart grid is the brain and the heart of electric grid. Today's independent action of electricity market players are integrated into tomorrow's smart grids. The electricity system of Cyprus in the coming years will face many challenges on the way of decarbonized and sustainable energy. These challenges are emerging, on one hand, from the operational constraints and lack of economies of scale presented in island systems like Cyprus, and on the other hand, from the potential of hosting and testing innovative energy solutions in a small system. These challenges require twofold decision: specific regulatory framework by policymakers and regulatory authorities acknowledging the particular constraints of island system, and significant investment opportunities in both conventional and mostly renewable generation and the development of smart grids. EAC, as the dominant participant in the Cyprus electricity market, will be at the forefront of meeting these challenges with appropriate and timely investment decisions towards innovation, new technologies like smart grid, electric vehicles, and related infrastructure. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Maragos, for sharing with us the challenges of the Electricity Authority of Cyprus. I'm very confident that these challenges are confronted with other authorities around the region, and your focus on the smart grid most probably have found the interest of the audience, because it is a big discussion nowadays. A big investment is required in order to implement the smart grid technology. Finally, we have reached the end of this session. There's a Q&A session as well, so if there is any question which anybody would like to address to our guests here. There's one person down there. Can you please also state your name for the record?
Δεν θέλουν να ρωτήσω. Θέλω να ρωτήσω τους δύο κυρίους που εκπροσωπούν τη ΣΜΕΚ, αν το λέω. Πόσο έχουν προχωρήσει οι συζητήσεις με τη ΔΕΗ σε ό,τι αφορά τη συνεργασία, την ενδεχόμενη συνεργασία, και δεν αναφέρομαι στη ΔΕΗ ανανεώσιμες, γιατί αυτό το ξέρουμε. Επίσης, όπως είπε η κυρία από τη ΦΥΡΟΜ, υπάρχει πολύ μεγάλη υλοποίηση επενδύσεων σε μονάδες παραγωγής ενέργειας στα Δυτικά Βαλκάνια και στην Νοτιοανατολική Ευρώπη. Έχουμε μία εκτίμηση για τα μεγέθη των επενδύσεων που θα είναι να υλοποιηθούν για αναβαθμίσεις παλιών μονάδων ή για νέες μονάδες. Ευχαριστώ.
I think there are two questions, I understand, in this way. Yeah. So we will try to reply to the first question, which relates to the business plans of the companies represented here. The question, I'm sure the translator has given an accurate translation, so whoever wished to take first the floor to reply. Thank you very much, Mr. Wang. It doesn't work? You can take the...
谢谢你的问题。中国神华集团呢，我们正在跟这个 PPC 公司在这个探讨，褐煤热力发电，我们能够在节能、环保、升级改造方面的合作。 那么在可再生能源方面的话，我们跟这个科布鲁斯这个 CG 公司也有合作的这个意向。一切的工作呢，还都在这个商谈当中。谢谢。
Okay, thank you very much. Would you like to address this question? It doesn't work? I think they will organize it.
It is working.
It's working.
I would like to highlight that CMEC cooperation with PVC and the strategic cooperation agreement is not only for one project. For the possible project opportunities, we would like to work with PVC. We are discussing with PVC not only right now for the Militia's second phase power plant, but also we're discussing about renewable wind, solar, off-grid hybrid power plant. Off-grid. Anyway, yes, off-grid hybrid, which means solar, wind, diesel generator in the small island to provide sustainable power supply for the local people. But also we're discussing with the PPC for the possible to establish a smart meter factory, to target the market to provide the smart meter connection to the people. So our cooperation is very complete and also is in very detail. We are moving forward with PPC. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. There was one question for me as well. Thank you for the question. Unfortunately, I cannot help you with the exact figure. The level of investment needed in electricity production in the region must be level of billion of euros, but we can talk later and I can tell you where you can find actually the exact figures. That is Energy Community Secretariat website. Strategy PECIS project, Projects of Energy Community Interest. What I would like to mention now is that actually what the energy community is focused at the moment is on development of market, regional market, and its integration in European market. Actually, exactly the target model that Alex spoke this morning. And in such a situation when we are integrating electricity markets in the region, it is very difficult to say what is sufficient electricity production, because we do not see national electricity systems separated in the future. We do not see even region power system separated from EU power system. So it is very difficult to make assumption on precisely on how much investment is needed. As much investment, as better competition in the market, also companies will be more successful. So that is my perception. Thank you.
Is there any other question? If not, I would like to thank the organizer, Public Power Corporation. This is an initiative which proves that PPC is already thinking out of the box and is inviting investors in order to examine its future plans. And it was my privilege also to coordinate this exceptional panel. Thank you very much for coming to this session, helping us.
Ladies and gentlemen, the light lunch is being served. We will break for an hour, and please be back at 1 o'clock, 1:10.
γρήγορα, παιδιά.
Έλα, Άλεξ.
Άντε, παιδιά, γεια σας.
Πάρτε και το πάνελ
Public cooperation obtain some, so can give to speakers. Yes. Mr. One hasn't got one? No, not yet. Okay. Well, anyway, I'll give you one and you can use this. Δεν το έχω δώσει, το ρώτησα. Και ρώτησα και το μου. Ναι, είχα από άλλο ένα.
Check. Πάρω το άλλο. Hey, 1, 2. Check. Να δοκιμάσω το άλλο. Να δω το άλλο. Hey. Hey, 1. Hey. Check, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check. 1, ναι, ναι. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Ωραία. Ναι, βρε. Οκ, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, δοκιμή. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,